there are millions and millions of people declaring bankruptcy or on payment plans for bills that they do not have to pay.
Hey everybody, this is NPR's Life Kit. I'm Marielle Segarra. And today we're talking about medical debt with Jared Walker. He's the founder of $4, a national nonprofit that helps people eliminate their medical bills. For Jared, this fight is personal. A decade ago, he and his wife got 2 phone calls just minutes apart about family members who were having medical crises.
I remember hearing conversations like, how are we going to pay for it?
That started Jared on a journey to learn all about medical debt, how to get rid of it, how to negotiate it down, and how to not get too stressed out by it. On today's episode, Jared and I will help you handle your medical bills step by step. Starting with biggest misconceptions. What do you think is the biggest misconception about medical debt?
I think that people see that bill and the number on that, and they think, I have to pay this quickly, and I have to pay this exact amount. And that's just not the case. You have time. These numbers, they're fake numbers.
Yeah, I think that's a big one. Because you get this bill in the mail and you think, it's in all caps, it says, due upon receipt or due in 2 weeks or whatever, and you think you have to just pay it or somebody's coming after you.
They are absolutely going to make it seem like there's this big sense of urgency. There's not. And I also think that a lot of people think that they're alone in this, and that is absolutely not the case. There's no shame. This is not, because of some failing on your part. You didn't choose to have a medical crisis. This has everything to do with a broken system and not you.
Well, let's get into it. Let's teach people how to negotiate their medical bills. All right, so you get this bill. What is the first thing you would tell people to do?
First thing I would tell people to do is see if you are eligible for charity care. Basically, if you are within a certain income range, the hospital has to waive your medical bills. Most hospitals in America are nonprofits. They have to have these policies to have their nonprofit status. And typically, a policy will say something like, if you're at or below, 300% of the federal poverty guideline, then you're eligible for free care or reduced care.
Do they have to tell you that you're eligible for it?
No. They should, but typically that is put on the patient. See if you're eligible, apply, fill out all the applications, send it in, and then bother them a few times until they actually respond.
Okay, so that's for nonprofit hospitals. Does it also apply to for-profits?
So the federal law does not, but most every for-profit hospital will also have a charity care or financial assistance policy. It's just there's not a federal law saying that they have to. So they're typically a little less generous, but a lot of them still have them.
So if you want to find out if you're eligible for charity care, what would you do?
You can always just Google your hospital name plus the words financial assistance, and you can usually find your policy pretty quickly. You can also go to $4. We have a free eligibility screener. We have the financial assistance policy data for every hospital in the country, and you can put in your household size, income, what hospital, and it will tell you what you're eligible for.
So let's say you don't qualify for charity care. What other options do you have?
So the second thing would be to ask for an itemized bill. This would be your time to basically fact check the hospital. You want to see if all the procedures on there actually happened. You would want to look up what happened, all of the CPT codes, and there are a few websites that you can look up to, compare codes, see if they were correct.
And what's a CPT code?
CPT code is just going to be the code associated with the procedure. So every single thing that is going to happen at a hospital will have a code associated with it, and you can look that up on these websites, and they'll tell you, oh, this code represents, this scan that you got or whatever.
So you can be like, I never had that scan.
Exactly.
Yeah, I remember actually having something like this happen when I went to get a hearing test. And I got the bill back, and it said that I had some kind of ear procedure done that I definitely didn't. It was something that you would know you had done because it was kind of invasive. And yeah, so I called the billing office, and they were like, oh, no, that's always done with a hearing test. And I was like, no, it wasn't,
Yeah.
They ended up wiping that $54 off of the bill.
Good on you. Yeah, no, that is super, super common that you would get charged for something that didn't happen.
So that's making sure that the bill itself is correct. And then there's also okay, you charged me $100 for an aspirin. That doesn't seem fair. Like, you did give me an aspirin, but this is ridiculous. That feels like it falls into the category of, this is just too much, you know?
Yeah, and there are, that's where like those websites come into play. As you can see, like a lot of times they'll have what is the fair price for these things, and there's like a lot of TikTok videos out there that say like, oh, if you ask for an itemized bill, it's just going to come back lowered automatically because they're going to look through it and see like, oh well, we can't charge them $100 for an aspirin or whatever, which can happen. That does happen, but sometimes you have to make those things known, like, hey, this is an overcharge, what's going on here. And with obvious stuff like the aspirin or whatever, they're usually pretty easy. Other ones, you have to fight it.
Yeah, it's kind of wild to be getting into all this. The fact that this is how our healthcare system works, that it's on the patient then to look at the bill and be digging through the weeds like this.
Yeah, it is wild, and it's like there's so much pressure on the patient to find, like, we shouldn't have to fact check the hospitals for these things, but we do. And there are people that go to school for years and years and take tons of tests just to figure out what these codes mean. And we're like over here, Googling on, getting on TikTok trying to figure out how to figure out your medical bills. It's insane.
Okay, so you look to see if you're eligible for charity care, and then if you're not, you look to see if your bill was correct. Maybe you took a look at the codes just to see if they seemed right, looking at some of the websites that explain what codes are used for what. You have also looked at your bill to see if any of the charges just seem really over the top. Your bill is technically correct. What can you do?
You can negotiate. The first thing would be like, do you have some cash? That is like the most powerful thing in this whole situation. If you can close the account now, they will take a lower price. So that's step number one. And a lot of people aren't in that situation, but if you are, you can call the hospital, and the first thing I ask is, what's the settlement amount? Like, what will you take right now if I can close out this account? Typically, we can get 30 to 50% off just by asking that. If I pay you right now, what can I get lowered off this bill?
Do you recommend that rather than being like, I have $500, will you close it?
Oh, no, never show your hand. I would just say, hey, what's the settlement amount? And then see what they'll offer. But they're not going to offer you the lowest amount, right? They're going to, it's a whole game. And even then, like, if it's not a number that I like, I'll just say, okay, talk to you later. And then hang up, call the next day and see if the next person, like, I have called 3 days in a row, talked to a different person, got 3 different numbers.
What do you do if you get the same person? Do you just hang up?
No, I just roll with it. Like,
I feel like it'd be like, oh, wrong number, sorry, bye.
No, I mean, we've called like day after day after day. It's like you have to be that person, which is fine. If you do that a few times and it's not the number that you want, then you can start offering, hey, I have this right now. Would you take it? I typically don't start with like anything lower than 50% because it would be pretty rare that they would give you more than 50% off. But they're better negotiators than I am. So if you want to go wild, but it's that's where I typically start.
Do you ever mention, hey, like, I'm having trouble paying this?
Absolutely. Tell them the story. Tell them what's going on. Tell them why it's hard. Tell them why you can't. And then ask for the supervisor. Like, if you're not talking to the person, you feel like this person is not understanding me or this person is not budging on this, like, ask to speak to somebody else.
Oh my gosh, it is exhausting though, especially if you're doing it on your own, to keep calling back and keep having it on your calendar. Like, it's this reminder of this debt hanging over your head, but maybe also a reminder of something painful that you went through.
You might even be recovering from some surgery or, going through chemo or whatever it may be. Like, you don't have the bandwidth to be calling the hospital all the time. So I even ask patients, hey, if you're not able to deal with this, is there a family member that you could give me their number and then we can do this together? You can just call the hospital and make sure that they're allowed to speak on your behalf, which you can do. And, a lot of people do that as well.
Yeah, it seems like maybe if a friend is like, hey, how can I help? How can I help? You can say, well, here's this list of things you could do. You could call the billing office for me.
Absolutely. I have a few family members that I'm like, oh, if this were to happen to me, like, I would call them because I know that they're going to call and be so annoying and they're going to get it done.
Sometimes you have to play a little more hardball, I guess, right?
Typically, the first few calls, you're not calling to do that. You're not calling to like, I'm offering you this, take this, or, I'm never going to pay, or, whatever. It's just like discovery. Like, you're just trying to figure out, hey, what's the settlement amount? What's it like? You're just trying to figure out who you're dealing with. Then when it comes down to it, like when you're actually like, hey, I'm making an offer. Absolutely. Like we're kind, but sometimes we aren't, like sometimes you have to ask to speak to the supervisors, and you have to be annoying, and you have to tell them how absurd this is, and why you shouldn't have to pay the, whatever false amount. You have to like advocate for yourself, and it's a lot.
If you get to the point with the billing office that you're saying, okay, I am able to pay this much, I can't pay it up front, they'll often work with you to pay in installments, right? And those are interest free.
Sometimes payment plans are the best option, which, get on the minimum amount, whatever you can afford, which is always less than what they like throw out. Like I've had people like, well, we can take monthly installments of $1,200. It's like, no, I'm going to pay less than that. So you can negotiate what that payment is each month. You just might be paying it off for a while.
What kind of mindset might people employ here? Like if you're looking forward and you're like, okay, like I know it's not going to be resolved easily because I already called and it sounds like it's going to be a mess. How do you stay mentally healthy during that time?
I typically tell people, put all the bills, stack up all the bills in a drawer, like set them aside. When it's time to deal with it, take them out, do your thing. Like, but don't let these things just, fill your whole space. Keeping in mind, like, you have time. It's not as urgent as they say it is. And like, that's important because I do think that a lot of times people panic, they put it on a credit card. You don't want to do that.
Why
And
not?
because you'd much rather have debt at a hospital than, 20% on a credit card.
All right, now that we learned how to negotiate with the billing office, it's time to see how this kind of conversation might actually play out. I'm going to role play as the person at the billing office, and Jared is going to play the patient. In this first scenario, Jared went to get a hearing test, but his bill included an elaborate ear procedure he never actually received. And fair warning, for some reason, I got really into this role play, and I don't know, I think I might have an acting career ahead of me.
Hello, my name's Jared Walker. What is your name?
It's Marielle.
Awesome, Marielle. I write that down. Always write that down. And then, hey, I have a question about a bill that I just received, and I'd like to.
Okay, what's your billing number? What's the account number on the form?
Count number is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
That please.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay, what's your concern?
So my concern is I'm looking at this medical bill that I got, and I noticed that there's a charge in here that I didn't actually have happen at the hospital, and I'd like to dispute this bill. And I'm wondering what the email address is for that, and the mailing address, so I can send in my dispute for this error.
What's the code of the error?
The code is 3456.
Please hold. Imagine 2 minutes of hold.
Yep. Oh,
I was trying to decide if I was
That's
gonna
like-
do like make you wait the whole time. Okay, sorry.
2 minutes is like all star time.
Mhm.
I'd kill for 2
Okay,
minutes.
5 minutes of hold, and I come back. Yeah, that's the code for an uh an ear snuffleupagus procedure. We do that with all the hearing tests, and you had a hearing test done, so that's what that would have been included.
Yeah, I actually know what the code was for because I'm looking at it here. And that never happened. So I'd like to just get the address and the email address for where I can send this dispute for the error on the bill.
It happened because the doctor has it in her notes here.
I appreciate that. Can you just provide me the email address and the mailing address so I can send in this dispute?
If you want to try, the email is billing@yourdoctorsoffice.com, and the address is 555 Your Doctor's Office Lane in Vancouver.
Perfect. I will ship this off. Thank you.
Thanks.
Boom. There it is.
So why did you say the things you said?
I mean, I try and make those kind of discovery calls at the beginning. I try to make them as quick as I can just to be like, hey, I need this. I'm going to send this in. This is what's going to happen. I don't need to get into all the details with you. I'm just going to do this thing because I know that that's what it is.
But the person on the phone probably can't change the bill for you, but they might make you think that they're in control of what's on the bill.
Yeah, definitely. They're going to make it seem like they know all about it and that you're not able to dispute it or whatever. You are. You can always ask for the supervisor, but really they know the address, they know the email. Just get that and keep rolling.
Okay, scenario 2. Jared got his bill back and everything was technically correct, but some charges seemed way too high.
Hello, this is your doctor's office.
Hello, my name is Jared Walker. I have got my account number here handy if you need that.
Yeah, please, tell me what that is.
Awesome. It is 123456.
What's your concern today, Jared?
So I am looking at this hospital bill, and I am noticing some charges that seem a little excessive. I'm looking at the ibuprofen and the bandages. I see that I was charged $100 for an ibuprofen and $50 for some bandages, and I am a little concerned with how high those are, and I'd like to see if I can get those either just taken off or significantly lowered.
Oh, yeah, we don't do that.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to then ask for the email and the address so that I can dispute the bill.
So when somebody tells you they don't do it, do you just give up right away?
It's a marathon. You have to make multiple calls. At some point, there needs to be a conclusion. So that is when you would, get a little more fired up and say, hey, this is incorrect, and I want to talk to your supervisor right now and talk about why I was charged so much for X or whatever.
All right, scenario 3. Everything on Jared's bill is accurate, but he'd like to negotiate anyway.
Hello, doctor's office. This is Jared Walker. I am calling because I'm looking at this bill and I would like to try and close it out today. How does that sound?
Sounds fine to me.
Awesome. Okay, so I have a $1,000 bill, and I would like to see if y'all have a settlement amount on that if I pay that right now.
What can you pay?
Well, I'm going to ask you what the settlement amount would be. And if you have to talk to your supervisor, that's totally fine. I will wait.
All right, let me call him. Hi, Jared. How can I help?
Hi there. I have got this $1,000 medical bill, and I'm wondering if you all have a settlement amount for me to see if I can close this out today.
Yeah, we sure do. We typically will accept 50% of the bill if you pay upfront.
Yeah, I'd take that. Awesome. Let's do it.
Okay, Jared, pleasure doing business with you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hope you're feeling better.
Thank you.
See, that one went so well.
It did. I mean, it's, and sometimes I go that way, but it's really just like, there's always a settlement amount. There's always an amount that they'll take that's less. Figure out what that is. Figure out what they're going to offer. And usually it is, it's like, we'll take 20% off the bill. Call again tomorrow, see if you can get 30, 40, 50, like whatever it is.
I liked her, by the way. She was really friendly.
Oh yeah, I loved it. Sometimes
She was trying to help.
Yeah, sometimes you get those, which is great.
If you were to pick a word that people should embody as they approach negotiating down a medical bill, what would the word be?
It's like the persistence. It's grit. It's like, buckle up, get ready. This is going to be a battle, And this might not get solved today. It might not get solved next week or next month, but like, we will figure it out.
Jared, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Okay, time for a recap. If you get one of these scary medical bills in the mail, don't panic. You've got options. First, see if you're eligible for charity care. Search your hospital name plus financial assistance, and you should be able to find what you need. If you don't qualify, ask for an itemized bill and comb through it. Does it include any procedures that never happened? Are there any costs that seem way out of line? Either way, you can call the billing office and dispute the bill. Also, you can always negotiate. If you can afford to pay something up front, call the billing office and ask for a settlement amount, what they'll accept if you pay the bill in full that day. Jared says you might get them to cut the bill in half. If you can't afford that, you can still negotiate. And you can get on a payment plan, which is much better than putting the bill on your credit card. Lastly, remember, this is a long game. You might not get anywhere with the first couple calls, but keep plugging away. And don't be afraid to ask friends or family for help. Sometimes they're looking for ways to support you, and you could really use an advocate.